Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here. So in today's video, I will be giving you guys 5 realistic trades that the Washington football team should make at the trade deadline. So some of these trades will include players from our team going to the other teams, and some of the trades will be us acquiring players from other teams. So if you guys are new, subscribe for Washington and NFL content. So let's get right into the video. And also I will be talking about if we should be buyers or sellers at the trade deadline at the end of the video, so make sure you stay tuned for that and like the video. So the first trade I think would be a good move for the Washington football team would be trading a late round pick, either a 6th or a 7th round pick, for Bengals wide receiver John Ross. John Ross was drafted, I think, in the 2017 NFL draft. I think he was 9th overall. So he's got some really good talent, 4.22 speed, and he requested a trade. And usually when it's public like that, he hasn't been getting much playing time this year. He's been inactive for 3 games. They don't have much leverage, and he's a free agent after this year, so they might move on from him anyways. So they might be trying to get anything they can get for him, and they might just do it for a 7th round pick. And he does have some talent. If you look at 2019 last year, in 8 games, he had 500 yards, 3 touchdowns, was an absolute beast. In 2018 had 210 yards, but a lot of it is mental. He's had some pretty bad drops over the years, but 500 yards in 8 games is really, really good. And we could use that speed, especially we don't have much depth at the wide receiver position, especially with Isaiah Wright being out, AGG being out, Steven Sims being out, and then obviously Kelvin Harmon was out for this whole year. So adding someone like John Ross, who can, get us some long touchdowns, give us some speed would be really good. And the price would be very, very minimal. A 7th round pick, and you might be able to get a head start on signing him in the off season. I would definitely think about it, especially if you want to try to sign him anyways next season. I would definitely consider some other wide receivers that we could go after. Will Fuller, Kenny Stills, if we really wanted to, but I don't want to give up too much. We're not in win now mode, so if we are going after players, at the very most, give up a mid-round pick, 5th round pick. So next this is actually a bigger trade, but I think the player is worth it. So what I would do, the second trade would be trade Ryan Anderson and a late round pick, whether it be a 5th, depending on what it would take, for David Njoku. Here's why. David Njoku has some really good potential, and he hasn't done that great in the last couple of years, but in 2018 had about 639 yards. The last 2 years he hasn't been really getting much playing time, and this year it was more due to injury. And if we can get him for a late round pick, I would definitely do it. I think he would immediately become our number 1 tight end, or at least be even with Logan Thomas, but eventually he obviously would overtake Logan Thomas. And I think he's a player that you can kind of build around at that tight end position. He's got some really good potential, like I said. And this is one of the only players that I wouldn't mind giving up a little bit to go after him in the trade deadline, just because it's a position that we really desperately need to get better at. And I think if you add him, our tight end group isn't that bad, because I think Logan Thomas can be a decent tight end number 2, but not tight end. So that would be a give up Ryan Anderson. He's going to be a free agent after this season. He really hasn't done much this year. He doesn't really have a role on this team, and he hasn't lived up to the potential that he, 2nd round pick. I just would try to move on from him. Get as much as you can get, because, they aren't in win now mode, like I said. So if you can get a 5th, if you can get a 6th for Ryan Anderson, I definitely would consider it. And yeah, this is how the David Njoku trade looks. They would be saving a little bit of money, but that's that. So the next guy, this would be us being sellers. I would definitely consider trading Fabian Moreau. I do not know what the market looks like for him. Some people are saying 5th round pick. I personally don't even know if we can get a 6th or a 7th, but he has an interception this year. He had 3 last year, so he played better on the outside, and he hasn't been getting much playing time this year for us after the first couple games, because Kendall Fuller came back. He's playing really, really well. Ronald Darby's not playing terrible. He's doing okay. Definitely playing better than last year. So Ronald Darby is over Fabian Moreau on the depth chart, and then Jimmy Moreland and Cameron Curl are both getting more playing time than Fabian Moreau. So if you can get anything for him, build that draft capital, because Kyle Smith is very good at drafting these late round guys. I mean, you see it with Cameron Curl last year. You got Jimmy Moreland, Kelvin Harmon. So these impact players, Cole Holcomb. So I would strongly consider it. Trade him for like a 6th or 7th if you can. I don't know what the market is for him, but I definitely would consider it. And maybe if you get a 6th round pick, you use that to trade for John Ross or something like that. But Fabian Moreau, I think it's time to move on. He just hasn't shown enough. Some people still like him, but I think I'm fine with the corners we have right now. And I don't think Fabian Moreau, losing him is a huge, huge difference. So the next one, I'm putting him on this list because if we get a good offer, I definitely want to do it. And it is Dwayne Haskins. We obviously know he is not the future. They put him as the 3rd string quarterback, so we know his time in Washington is most likely done. And it is sad, but we're going to probably have to move on. And I would entertain the option of trading him, but I don't. If a team offers us a 7th, a 6th, even a 5th, I'm not doing that. You gotta get at minimum a 4th round pick. And if you don't get that, then wait, develop him in the offseason, let him get a little bit better, let him play in the preseason and show that, he's gotten better, and then you can move on from him and get a little bit higher trade value, because his trade value right now is at an all-time low because he got benched. He's been put on he's the 3rd string quarterback, as you guys all know, and all those leaks came out. So if he shows some improvement, maybe his trade value will go up. But like I said, if you get a 4th round pick and a player, or if you get a 3rd round pick, then I would definitely do it. That's my take on it. A 3rd round pick, I definitely would do it. But again, John Kime has said it multiple times that no teams as of now have inquired about a trade for Dwayne Haskins, so it's most likely not going to happen. But if we get a 4th or 3rd round pick, I would do it. But a 5th or 6th, I'm not doing it. He's a 1st round quarterback. The worst case scenario, you develop him. No, you keep him this offseason, and he shows you nothing, and you release him. So instead of getting a 7th round pick, you get nothing, but you take the chance of him possibly panning out, or of a team giving some more draft capital for him. So that is the 4th trade right there. Trade him to Pittsburgh, some team that is going to have time to develop him, but that's what I would do. So now the next one is Jamison Crowder, and him and David Njoku are the really only players that I would give a 4th round pick or more for. Crowder's been a beast this year. He's almost averaged 100 yards per game with the Jets, 833 yards last year, 6 touchdowns, and he's been a beast. He's been rumored to be on the trade block, him, David Njoku, and John Ross. That's why I have him in this video, but they're talking about possibly trading him and a lot of other players on their team. So depending on what the asking price is, Crowder has some familiarity with Washington, with the city, with some of these players, so that helps. And, he's been a beast, and we need that, wide receiver number 2, and I think he could be a good slot wide receiver for us. He's similar to Steven Sims, but, Steven Sims hasn't been healthy, and Jamison Crowder overall is better than Steven Sims. And, yeah, if we can get him for a 4th round pick, I would do it. Anything more than that, though, I just wouldn't. Even a 4th is probably high, but that's probably what it's going to take to get done. But at the end of the day, we most likely should be selling at the trade deadline. It really depends on how we do in this Cowboys game, because if we win it, then we're in it in the NFC East. But if we lose this game against the Cowboys, then most definitely we gotta sell. Maybe get John Ross, and that's it. But besides that, try to trade Ryan Anderson, Fabian Moreau, all these guys to try to maximize the trade value you can get. But we'll see what ends up happening. On Ryan Kerrigan, I've heard a lot of people talking about possibly trading him. What has been, rumored out there is he's most likely not going to get traded unless a team blows us away with an offer. But, who knows? So, yeah, those are my 5 trades. Most likely, guys, though, we are going to be sellers at the trade deadline. We're most likely not NFC East, so it makes sense to, stock up on draft picks. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and let me know down in the comments below who you would like to trade for and which out of these 5 trades you like the best and for what price. Peace.